I want to go through some useful calculator programs that you can put in your calculator really quickly that will definitely save you some time, whether it be on the SAT, in class, or on a test. I can guarantee that these programs will be useful for you. So to make a program on a calculator, first you want to turn your calculator on and go to this button that says PRGM. That stands for program. So you're going to select it. And I already have a bunch of programs in my calculator, but if you don't have any, you just won't see this list. And you're going to want to click over to New and then hit Create New. So first I'm going to go through how to make the quadratic formula, which is probably my most used program on my calculator. So first you want to name your program something that you're going to remember. So I'm just going to name mine QF. So if you go alpha, and then you'll see the green numbers above the buttons, and those are your letters. So if we go alpha 9, that's Q, and then alpha cosine would be F. So I'm just doing QF for quadratic formula. Then click enter. Okay, so you'll see these various lines that you can use to write your program. So we're going to start by clicking this button that says program again, and you'll see this menu come up. You're going to want to click over to this I/O, which stands for input/output. And then you're going to want to go down to number 2, which says prompt. And you should see prompt appear in one of these lines. So for prompt, I'm going to use the coefficients that we use in the quadratic formula. So A, B, and C. So I'm going to go prompt and then alpha A, and then the comma, which is directly above the 7. So comma, alpha B, comma, alpha C. Then you want to press enter again to save that line. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write out the quadratic formula as it would be. So you're going to want to do one open parenthesis, then another parenthesis, and then put negative alpha B, close your parentheses. I'm going to do plus first, plus, and then second square root of B, alpha B, squared minus 4 times alpha A, alpha C. Close your parentheses and then close them again to close this first parenthesis, then divided by parenthesis 2 alpha A. Close your parentheses. And then make sure you press enter to go to the next line and save that line. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but with minus, because the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus. So I need to account for that. Oh, I was so excited to keep doing the math that I almost forgot the most important part. So for this line, I'll actually have to go back up just by using these arrows, and you're going to want to click store, or just stow as it would say on your calculator, and you'll see this little arrow appear. And then you can pick any variable. I'm just going to choose D. So if I click alpha D, it'll store this as my D value. So let's press enter again. And so now I'm going to do it with the minus in the equation. So parentheses and then another parentheses, negative b minus the square root of alpha b squared minus 4 times a times c divided by 2a. So now I need to store this as a different value because this is my other root. So I'm going to go down to store, and I'm just going to say E. So now we're almost done, but I want my calculator to actually show me what the roots are, because this is what our quadratic formula finds. It finds the roots of a quadratic. And so to do that, I'm going to go back to this program button, go back over to input/output, and then I'm going to go down to number 3, which says disp for display. Select that, and then I'm going to go alpha D, comma, alpha E, and then enter to save that. So now we have our program written for the quadratic formula, but you should always check your program before you use it. So to save this, you're going to want to press second quit. Definitely don't press clear because that may end up clearing your code, which isn't what we want. So now to use the quadratic formula, I'm going to go into program. I'm going to go down to where it says QF, select that. So my A value, I'm going to do something I know. So I'm going to say my A value is 1, my B value is 5, my C value is 6. So I know my roots should come out to -2 and -3, but let's check if it works. And it does. My roots are -2 and -3, so this program should be good to use. Now I want to go through another program that I found to be especially useful in physics, which is a program for the Pythagorean theorem, which is especially useful for things such as vector addition. So first, like we did with the quadratic formula, I'm going to want to start by naming my program. So I'm just going to name it PT for Pythagorean theorem. So if I go to alpha P right above the 8, and then alpha T right above the 4, then press enter. So now I'm going to do something similar to what I did for the quadratic formula, and I'm going to press program, go over to input output, and then I'm going to go down to prompt, which is option 2. So select that. And I'm going to use the same letters that they use in the Pythagorean theorem just to make sure that I remember. So I'm going to do alpha A for our like A squared, comma, alpha B. Enter. So now, if I want to find my value C in the quadratic formula, the math I would have to do is the square root of alpha A squared plus alpha B squared. And I'm going to store this as my value C. Okay, so now you're just going to press enter one more time. And this is the only way to do the quadratic formula. It's not like the Pythagorean or this is the only way to do the Pythagorean theorem. It's not like the quadratic formula where you had multiple kind of variations. So this is all we have to do in terms of the math. Then I'm just going to go back to program, go over to input/output, go down to number 3, which is display. And then I'm going to go display C. And then enter. And as always, do second quit. So now I'm going to try this Pythagorean theorem program that I just wrote. So if I go down to where it says PT, enter, I'm going to do something like I did with the quadratic formula where I know what my outcome should be. So I'm going to do 3 for A and 4 for B because I know it should be 5. And we get 5. So this program also works and is good to use. I hope this video gave you some ideas for programs that I promise you will definitely save you some time. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.